Hey, it's Gurds Hundal and welcome to another show of Get Inspired with Gurds. Now today's topic is actually something that's close to my heart, and a friend of mine was actually teaching me more about it a few weeks ago, and I thought, do you know, what better way to share it whilst we're in nature? Judah, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really enjoying this opportunity.
Bless you. Well, it was amazing talking to you when I had the radio show, and now I wanted to talk to you about, spirituality and Buddhism. Now, I've known you for a short period of time, and the amount of conversations that we've had on social messaging and stuff like that, it's always about Buddhism. So, how did you fall into Buddhism?
Recently I gave an interview and I was basically described as the accidental Buddhist, which is absolutely true. I basically started a business in 2009 and I was very focused on getting my business, up and running. But I knew that personally I need to do some work on me because I was not really happy with who I am. I was not happy with my life. And so I think that just becoming a very committed and passionate entrepreneur, I knew that I'm the biggest asset of my business. And then later on, when I developed more of self-love and self-care, I actually realized I'm the biggest asset of my life. It literally went in that order. So I was lacking self-love, self-respect, self-awareness. I didn't know who I am, what the potential is. I only knew that I'm a hardworking girl and that I have a lot of work to do and have a lot of skills, and I'm very determined, but I was struggling also with depression and loneliness, and I was sad and kind of fed up with feeling like that all the time. Or I'm pretty sure that people can relate to that if they watch. You are this hardworking girl and you're successful, and there's a lot of people loving you, but you come home and you feel that you have to hide that you're not actually as happy as they see you. You don't want to bother anyone, and I think those little feelings I just had to work through, and I was on my own. I was also grieving after being left by my boyfriend, and I think that the beginning of Buddhism for me was without knowing that it's Buddhism. I was not seeking for any religion or any kind of belief system as a support. I just wanted to become happy and reliable on my own source of happiness. That was all I wanted. I knew that if I stay for the rest of my life alone, I want to be that girl that gives all that she needs to herself. And so I just basically, when I was online, doing my business stuff, and I didn't have money to go out, network or whatever, I would occasionally just Google quotes. That was actually the beginning of my Buddhism. And to be even more specific, I studied with Einstein. He's a scientist, so people would say really Buddhism, but actually he was quite Buddhist. So that gave me inspiration. Those quotes from Dalai Lama or Eckhart Tolle or
amazing.
Yeah, I just didn't even know what these guys are doing. I just knew, this is giving me a little bit of strength for the day. And I was actually thinking about it, and I became self-aware of my actions. I was becoming aware of what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, and then I started to look more deeper into some of those leaders.
In the business world, the word hustle, you've got to work hard, and you end up pushing yourself, but you push yourself over the limits that you actually drain yourself, and actually you do isolate yourself.
Yes.
It's a funny little world, isn't it, business, in the way how we're supposed to run our business, but we don't really connect it from letting it flow.
No, and I did business for a while in the hustling way, which totally led me to a burnout that I'm still recovering from. But I think the tipping point for me was, I was devoted to, when I had my private time out of the business hustle, to go back to myself. And because I started to meditate and I started to understand Eckhart Tolle and ego, right? I was focused on ego and fear, specifically ego. I think that you have a choice. You can do the business side, but then you also step back in your private little zone and learn about yourself, and eventually that will become the stronger part of your awareness. So you will then with time see that you can do business, you can have a career, you can be a strong, empowered woman, but your actions come from the strength that comes from within. You don't seek approval anymore. You don't do it for the sake of being liked. You know, so it just, there's a slight shift that starts happening, and you know, I will be honest, like you will probably notice that you're growing when you start losing colleagues and friends and stuff, right? Because you will notice there's a change, like you are not in line with this bullshit that they're all selling. So
I relate with you, because it happened to me in the beginning when I decided, right, enough is enough, went on my journey, and suddenly the people that I thought were my closest friends suddenly started dropping off. And at that time I probably was the loneliest time of my life, but what I realised in that moment was that was my time to grow.
Exactly.
That my time was to understand me for once, not paying attention to everything that was happening outside, but actually what is it I really want, what is it I want to do with my life. And once I started to do that, I started to attract. But again, I didn't understand the law of attraction. I didn't understand even Buddhism. I didn't understand any of it. I was just doing it, but I didn't really have a word for it. I guess that's probably the right way of saying it.
Yeah, basically you stop playing the game. You start seeing through the game that other people play, and you're not willing to participate anymore. And so therefore there's a disconnect. You are weird to them, and you are not willing to compromise anymore, because it's so strong within you that you can even feel physically sick, you know. I will not compromise on it. Like, I rather, and there's a beauty in it as well, because you might be fearful a little bit that you will lose, and if you don't play the game, you might not be successful in business. But the more you spend time on the spirituality within yourself, you will know that you constantly have this strength and power that comes from within, which is certainty. That nothing can beat certainty, you know. Wisdom, nothing can beat wisdom, you know. I know for myself, I'm now wiser and more certain. I have more clients than ever. I don't play the game. I'm very outspoken about against playing the game, and you just get a reward, like you just attract with your beautiful energy. That's the reward that you get.
It's about the belief in yourself and trusting it, and like you said, not listening to the outer world, and just what is it you really want, and what is it that you can create to help others. I guess that's kind of what we forget on the daily basis, because we're told what to do and how to behave, that we lose ourselves. And then I guess that's where depression comes from, because we're living in the past of how we had fun and how we used to be, because we don't really know who we are in the current moment.
Yes, and I also think that, you know, when we say believe in ourselves, I think with time you learn that you don't have to be attached to materialistic outcomes, but you do, with spirituality, get the trust and the sense and the knowledge and the certainty that you are actually connected. Whether that's the universe or love or the general positive energy that you're seeking constantly in your daily basis, you will actually know that you're also connected to like-minded people who are spiritually aware. You will start noticing and recognizing each other, like you and I did. You know, we were just sitting next to each other, and it's a conversation that people can't follow. You just talk about these things, right? So you are not alone. And sometimes people are afraid of this, you have everything within yourselves, because obviously you don't want to be this loner, you know, this lunatic who's in his world and, you know, whatever, you know. Some people have that fear as well. No, you're not actually. You will start being connected to people who are in the same space as you.
Like, I felt at that event, I wasn't there for the information. It's like I was supposed to meet you.
Yes.
And I don't know why, and then I left early as well. It was really bizarre, and I was like, that was why I was supposed to be there, because I was supposed to meet another person who is on that spiritual journey as well. Yeah,
it's beautiful that you mentioned that, because with spirituality, does matter if it's private or business, you will learn that you will learn connecting the dots. So you will come to an event like we did, and we didn't like the event, and we were like, oh, this is crap, you know. I felt sick, you felt sick, and then a few weeks later we just recognized, even we didn't talk, but in our silence you just connect the dots and say, okay, this was for that reason. And so when you start collecting these experiences, you will understand there is always a reason for things that are happening. But you have to become spiritual, you have to become self-aware and trusting the process. Okay, things in life happen for a reason, and Buddhism gives you those principles of life.
So once you did the business, like, what was the next step? Did you just go straight into it, or were you shown by somebody? Or?
No, not at all. I was actually, I just realized that I live a little bit different. That my, my values are a bit different. I was always a bit off the wall, but more in a rebellious way, right? But I just felt there's something going on that I'm not willing to do anymore. And so, for some reason, I was planning my 35th birthday, but I couldn't get to it. I didn't have money and I didn't have time. So when I was 37, I went to a Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Nepal. Don't ask me why there. I just literally was guided by intuition. I was like, yeah, I just want to do something for myself. And I just want to go to a monastery, want to meditate a little bit more and want to understand what Buddhism is. I had no idea there's different fractions of Buddhism, nothing, right? And so I got there, and what happened to me is that in those 10 days, everything they said, I lived. I didn't understand, I lived. So I was just confirming to myself that I'm a Buddhist. And I was even against the label. I don't even want to use the label, right?
I'm the same.
Yes, but actually I am. And I'm very much a Mahayana Tibetan Buddhist, which is that you devote your life to all the sentient beings.
It's a bit like The Secret. So, like myself, for example, I have been doing The Secret for years, but I didn't know what The Secret was.
Yes.
So when people kept saying to me, how long have you done The Secret for? I'm like, The Secret? What's that? And they said, like, you need to watch this YouTube video, you need to read this book. And then when I read the book, I was like, oh, okay, now I understand why I've been doing these things. I didn't understand. So I guess it's the same kind of way, isn't it?
It's the same.
We're already living it, but we just don't give it a label because our soul already knows about this. We've lived previous lives. Our soul already has done this before. It's just a reconfirmation that this is what's good for us.
You know what? We are all potential Buddhas. It's only our choice if you're going to become one or not. Therefore, you recognize it. We all recognize it. The difference is, are you becoming aware that you're doing it or not? So we are all spiritual. We are all potentially awakened, right? But we are also cluttered by this materialistic bullshit of expectations and money and success and ego. Yeah? But so the only difference is that I became aware that I'm actually living according to Buddhist principles, which for me really means wisdom. It's nothing like we called it Buddhism because there was one guy one time in this history that was called Buddha, and what he did, he just left to try and understand how to stop suffering. The same way that you and I try suffering, and the same that the viewers try to stop suffering for themselves, right? So the label doesn't mean anything. It's just, are you awake or are you asleep? But we are potentially all potential Buddhas. There was not one Buddha, there was many Buddhas in this. And we live in beautiful times where, there's a huge shift going on. I mean, 7 years ago on Facebook, you would not get an inspirational quote on each wall.
It's true.
Yeah? And now it's like there's an overload of inspirational quotes.
Or even like Google, you would have never seen any quotes on Google as well. You'd have to go and get the physical book and find it. But again, it was knowing who to find. Whereas now you can just type an inspirational quote and a random person will come up and say, oh, who's that? So true, yeah. So say somebody's got a very busy lifestyle, how can they start to implement Buddhism into their daily lives?
I think the first and most important step is to observe yourself a little bit, okay? So let's say you're busy, and I know that you're busy, but you go to the toilet, let's say, in the middle of the day, right, at work. Have a little think what's happening in the day. And maybe just to start with, focus on what's making you feel bad, because that's really what you should improve. Okay? And so happy times are great, happy things are great, keep them on. But if something is, bothering you, I would start paying attention to that. That's the first step to awareness. So if you want to start spirituality and Buddhism, the most important thing is for you to know that you have to start being aware of your actions and feelings.
Do you know what I found the best time for me to have ideas is on the toilet?
Yes, I love the toilet.
Yeah, it's like epiphany, it's like bing!
Yeah, toilet is crucial for Buddhism, definitely, especially if you're in a company. Yeah, that pays for the toilet, right? The toilet paper. So yeah, that's a good start. And then you identify, okay, I'm not really happy with how I'm behaving when I'm with friends, or I'm not really happy that I'm miserable in front of my boss. What's going on here? I would then, honestly, if you don't have money for a coach, I would go directly to a coach who is a spiritual coach and can explain to you in 4 weeks what's going on, right? But if you don't want that and you kind of like want to discover, which is also beautiful, discover on your own, Google. So I love Google. I Google every shit. I would just say why I feel miserable in front of my boss. And trust me, there will be self-love, self-respect, yeah? So, and there's certain kind of like magazines, like Huffington Post is a great one. Yeah, there's Psychology Today, which is a great one. They do address these things. Tiny Buddha is a good source. You know,
I love that one.
Yeah, beautiful. So just start at least Googling, or give yourself a quote. Type in self-love quote. You know, I would just start with little things. And if you then want to move one step further and saying, okay, I want to actually be diligent in this. I want to do something about it on a daily basis, like little rituals, right? I would definitely advise to do 2 things. First thing is do your gratitude diary in the morning. Which is so simple, but you know when you neglect it for 2 days, you're going down the hill.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're like, why am I going down the hill? Yeah, because you forgot your five things to be grateful for in the morning. And so this is specifically beneficial for people who suffer from depression, because I suffer from depression and we forget what we have. We focus on what we don't have. So in the morning, write down 5 things you're grateful for. Don't do it mechanically, and you have to write it down, don't type it. And don't think, you have to write it down every morning. And on a good day, you can write 20. On a bad day, you will struggle, but you have to do 5. And think really, because when you start writing simple things, that's where you're becoming more spiritual. If you're not craving to put, I'm amazing because I've done 10K, on my clients, rather than actually being grateful that you're loved by your family, or that you have a beautiful bed, that you just slept nicely. That's it. You are actually growing. You are growing. Yeah. And the other thing that is really
I was going to say, it's interesting that you say during the day, because I do it in the morning, I do it at night time, so I look at the whole day and think, what have I been grateful for the whole day? And again, would you say that you should do it kind of what works for you, so morning or night, or would you prefer morning?
I would prefer gratitude in the morning to set your energy high, because gratitude is actually quite equal to joy and happiness. So if you reach gratitude, you're in a happy mode, and so therefore you will start attracting happy things in the day. But I would advise in the evening, you can either repeat the gratitude, or what I do, I write 5 things that went well. Which is different from gratitude. It's also good for high achievers that forget how many things they do, which is linked to lacks of self-love. I've been there, I know. So I would, for example, forget that I decluttered the entire flat and that I have rewritten my entire website. I'm actually capable to forget that I've done it. So in the evening, when I have to think, okay, what went well, I was like, oh my God, actually I did this, and this, and I'm a good person, and I can actually slow down. I can look after myself a little bit. Yeah. Or if you think, okay, this was a shitty, non-productive day, write what went well, and then gratitude will come out automatically. But you will have a clear overview of a very good day, and you will sleep nicer, and it's great. The other thing I would advise, is very easy, is the Ho'oponopono forgiveness exercise.
Okay.
Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian exercise where you forgive others and yourself, and it takes 2 to 3 minutes per forgiveness. So you have to say 4 words: I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And you can't move any further if you don't forgive. And you do it with other people that hurt you, and you also do it with all your pet peeves and everything that annoys you, and something that you hate about yourself, do it for that as well. So you can just do this little exercise. You can find it again on Google. Just Google it, how to do it. On my website there's a complete article on Ho'oponopono, and it's beautiful.
And maybe a last one?
Meditation. Meditation is not sitting like this, in silence. Meditation again means observing yourself. You can meditate even when you talk to each other. Which literally means I am out. My wiser me is out there looking. If I'm now talking to you from a place of ego, or if I'm, if I'm in a good place, and I can then readjust, right? So, for example, the first meditation I would definitely advise is observing objects without giving it any content or judgment. I learned it from Eckhart Tolle, and you can do it on the tube. So This is a very good intro to meditation, because you will start training your brain how to stop thinking and judging. Yeah. So you sit on the tube and you just give your brain a little rest, and you do this: head, green, leg, red. It's very funny. But you see a grumpy guy, right? You say a man. Your brain will automatically want to judge and say, he looks grumpy, I don't like him. The minute you want to do that, you have to move on to another object. Yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
it's beautiful, and so that's an intro for your brain to stop thinking. That's a way of meditating. Another meditation that is very easy is you breathe in all the pain from the entire world, all the people, and you exhale all the love that you have from within to all of them. And you do it, you repeat it. This is good because you remove the spotlight from your own painful situation if you're in one. And equally, you will start feeling the power that you have, because you're sending love to everyone. You will also remind yourself that you're not the only one that goes through pain.
Yeah.
And this one is easy because you're not focused on yourself, so thoughts will not easily interrupt your meditation.
I found that when I'm on the tube and I see someone sad, I have this automatic response that I do where I just send them love.
Yes.
But I've never understood it, but now as you've said it, I'm like, okay, that makes sense now. So
Yes.
Because we're all suffering, aren't we, in some form or way?
We are all
whether-
suffering every day, and you just have to, bring yourself out of that with self-awareness. So that's Buddhism.
Thank you guys for watching. If you're new to these videos, hit that subscribe button. Also give them a like, and if you want any more videos from Duda, click this nice shiny button over here.
This one?
You know you want to. And guys, remember, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay inspired. Download.
Yes.